Hey, happy Monday. So these are notes for 5-2, evaluating and function notation. So this is about evaluating functions and then function notation, a little bit of both. So functions you briefly talked about last year. Y is a function of x. That's what's going on here. And that is, when you say that y is a function of x, you simply mean that the value of y depends on the value of x. Whatever y is, it depends on what x is. So we're going to start seeing this notation right here. This f of x is equal to y. First couple of things here. This is pronounced just like I said. This is read f of x, function of x. That's what that f stands for, function of x. It's also super, super, super duper important to realize that right here and right here, that is not multiplication. Even though normally when we're used to seeing a number or something, a letter in parentheses, we're used to that being multiplication. In this situation, it is not that, and that's going to be the hardest thing to get used for. It is not multiplication there. F is not being multiplied by x. That is read as f of x. Function of x is equal to y, would be the other part. So when you're talking about this function of x, it's really just a rule. You learned about a function rule. So your input, what you put in, is your x value. That's why those pieces line up. Your x is your input. Your f, the function itself, is the rule, what you're doing to it. And then your y is the output. Oh, my hat, I forgot I had that on. So those pieces correspond with each other. F is the rule, the function is the rule, x is the input, like we talked about last lesson, y is the output. You take the x, you put it in, you do the rule, and then it spits out an output or a y value. So really, we're just going to now be replacing everything that we would normally use with y. We're going to replacing that with f of x. And again, the f of x isn't always going to be it isn't always going to be f. It won't always be f of x. You might be able to see, g of x, you can see h of x, we're going to get into h of t, and it literally, just like any variable, you can use any types of variables here. They're all just variables. Just variables, guys, no big deal. They can be interchanged. Okay, so like I said, we're replacing these with y. So when formally you used to see equations like y equals 2x plus 5, instead of y now, you're just going to see f of x is equal to 2x plus 5. All the while knowing and understanding that these are the same exact thing. These are not any different equations. Both of those are straight lines with positive slopes, and 5 is a y-intercept. They're just written in, one is written in function notation, and the other is, I forget the name off the top of my head. It's like standard notation, or I don't exactly remember. And same kind of thing with our coordinate points. When before you used to see coordinate points as x comma y's, our coordinate points now are going to be x comma f of x's. It's still, again, your same exact thing. All we're doing is switching out the y variable with f of x. That's the only difference here. Okay, I think we're ready to get into some examples.